All right, all right. All right, what's going on? Let's see. What's in the news? A bunch of little things. Oh, a slew of those bullcrappy ETFs launch. Solana ETF, a Hedera ETF, I think an XRP ETF, and some other crap ETF. I'm not sure what they're expecting. BlackRock's not getting behind those, and it looks like BlackRock is the main contributor to everything ETF. Like, if you backed out the BlackRock ETF, then you would have negative net inflows for the year. Now, a lot of that is because because the BlackRock ETF was hoovering up investment from the other Bitcoin ETFs. So that's not completely. That's one way of looking at the information, but basically it's BlackRock. So BlackRock will not be participating in Solana. BlackRock will not be participating in XRP. BlackRock will not be participating in XLM or any of these other Litecoin, any of this other spammy crap. So it's unlikely that they're going to, have that much success. I don't know. We'll see. I think of any of them, the Solana one might have a little bit of success, but I don't know what they would be hoping for. Anyway, so yeah, there's that. But again, there's, dummy's going to dummy. Like all the same people that own XRP, they'll probably buy the XRP ETF because why not double down? You've already invested in stupid. You might as well go full retard, right? Like don't hold back. Go full retard. It makes no difference. And they'll probably do it with margin if they can find an exchange that would offer them margin. So they'll go full retard with margin. So there you go. Hello. What the little @ sign? What is the @ sign? Is that your? I wonder. Is that your handle on YouTube or what is that? Why? Because it's not everybody that has little @ signs, but it's most people. Oh, I guess it's everyone now. It wasn't everybody at first. A few days ago, it was just random. Now it's everyone. Anyway, how would you fare against a Shaolin monk? I don't think Shaolin monks fight. I don't think monks fight. I think that's kind of part of the whole thing is that they don't fight or whatever. And that was different. I mean, a lot of those martial arts were very specific to the use case. Like a lot of the Shaolin monk stuff was fighting people on horses. That's why they use those big staffs and a lot of that. And almost all of the cool things, the little weapons and stuff that they use in Shaolin Kung Fu are all from farming. If you look at them, they're all like the sai and all that kind of stuff. They're all farming tools. So, yeah, farming tools. So I don't know that has a direct impact. I mean, I guess if you had a Shaolin monk with swords and stuff, he'd probably do better than someone without swords and stuff. But I think that's about it. Let's see. Hello. Blue Jays. All right. Let's see. Oh, was it? I didn't see. I only saw up to the 7th. Well, I only saw the score at the 7th inning. Who ended up winning last night? I mean, I guess I could ask Siri. Hey Siri, who won Game 3 of the World Series? Oh, LA won. Oh, that's gotta be tough to stomach. Okay. All right. Series 2-1. Let's see. Yes, that's from YouTube. So you have your YouTube people and you have your digital investor people. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. What do we got? No complaints. We had a great day yesterday in the ETH markets, a great catch-up day. We're giving a little bit of it back right now. Here, I can go over the prices. There's no secrets here. No secrets among sailors. I give a little bit of it back. We're down skosh. We're down a skosh, but let me tell you, that's way better than in the 3,000s. There's just something very psychologically appealing about the 4,000 mark. So, okay, so 41 and change. Oh, we should almost go behind the wall, but we won't. I'm thinking I may talk to Brandon about switching up the Thursday and the Friday show. The only reason is because tomorrow it might make sense to do all of our options trading before Jerome Powell, pre-Powell. So it may be worth exploring switching the Thursday option session and making it Wednesday, and then just doing a Thursday and a Friday digital investor show back to back. But on this one, well, we don't go behind. This one's not a behind the wall. This is just an open Q&A one. This one, and also just going behind the wall wouldn't be sufficient because a lot of people just don't give a crap about options. But for the people that do, I think this is an important meeting for a few reasons, and it might make sense to game plan right before what your strategy is. I've been thinking of a few different things. So, because remember, you have the 25 basis point cut that's all but guaranteed. But then there's going to be, he's already made two comments, kind of loose comments. Jerome Powell, I'm saying, has already made two kind of loose comments about about QT, about quantitative tightening and running off assets from their balance sheet, which again doesn't. They run the assets off. Those assets end up back in the system where they can actually have a value as collateral instead of on the Fed's balance sheet where they have no value as collateral for those banks. And then the bank reserves, which have no value for those banks, go back to the Federal Reserve. So interesting. I mean, you earn some interest on the reserves, but the reserves are not money themselves. They're not currency. They have no moneyness. So depending on what he says, because there's a few different ways they could go. They could go, okay, we're stopping quantitative tightening. Okay. So remember, you have QE and you have QT, and then you have not QE, which is QE. So quantitative easing is the process. If you read it in a magazine or a book, it would say where the Federal Reserve purchases treasuries from banks, purchases bills, notes, and bonds, treasury assets from banks to provide liquidity to the marketplace. And that is bullshit. So what actually happens is they trade an illiquid asset called a bank reserve. It might as well be called monopoly money. And they take normally productive collateral that banks would use in repo, lending in repo and getting interest and all kinds of stuff, and just having a strong balance sheet. They steal those, and this is forcibly done, by the way. You're not given a choice. You do it. When the Fed, if you're a broker dealer with the Fed and they tell you they're doing it, they're doing it. You don't get to say no. They pull your quality collateral and they give you bank reserves. The idea is that you'll then go lend into society now that you have this inert asset, because you want to make some money. Okay. But that's not what happens, because banks go, well, if you're stripping me of all my collateral, that means, and you're doing QE, that means it's gotten really bad out there. We're not lending nothing. So there's that. Hold on. Get the microphone sounding better. It was way off to the side. So that's QE. And you can see that there's no actual money entering the system. So that's the problem. So if it's a monetary tool, but there's no monetary part to it, not valuable. So then you have QT. That's the reverse of that. Basically, getting back out of that collateral, letting it fall off the balance sheet, either because it times out, it's matured, or you trade it back to these facilities for their bank reserves, the bank reserves, which is not cash. And that's that. So QT, quantitative tightening, is supposed to be tightening the money supply. But if you think about it, that's ass backwards, because you're actually you're freeing up quality collateral to go back into the system, into the repo again, and to be used in a variety of ways in and around a balance sheet. So you're actually QT. There's a good argument that QT is the real QE. Okay, so I know it's getting confusing, but anyway, quantitative easing, putting money into the system, which isn't really doing it. Quantitative tightening, pulling money out of the system, which again, it's not money, it's bank reserves, and bank reserves aren't money. You can't buy burgers with bank reserves. So then you have not QE, which is actually it's QE. Not QE is when they go in and they buy a very specific maturity, usually on the short end of the yield curve, like very short, okay? And they do this specifically. That's all we're doing. We're just buying this maturity, the 2-year or whatever. That's all we're buying. But that's not QE. It's an adjustment. So we're just moving the parts around, just getting the gears. It's not QE. But that is QE by their definition. That's QE. So it's QE, but on a very specific set of maturities. And remember, along the curve, you have bills, notes, and bonds. Bills at the short end, notes in the middle, bonds at the tail end. That's the whole treasury spectrum: bills, notes, and bonds. So sticking to the bill side, which again, typically, that's where when people say treasuries, short-term treasuries, those are the bills. So not QE is also QE, but it's just a specific maturity. Then you go, okay, well, does any of the QEs do anything? No, because they're not trading money. They're not trading real money. They don't have a money printer at the Federal Reserve. They don't use money. That's problematic if you have monetary tools that don't use money. So that's it. They have the QE, the not QE, and the QT as their monetary tools, and then interest rate adjustments, which already more than one Federal Reserve chief has been like quoted, or whatever you want to call it, has said historically, I don't think rate adjustments have any effect in society. This was one of the big problems they had. Like even what Greenspan's conundrum or whatever was essentially, these guys all knew that interest rate adjustments don't do anything, but that's all they've got. So they have to sell you on this idea that interest rate adjustments are amazing. If we adjust interest rates, it's amazing. People go, okay, why though? Well, because it frees money into society. How does adjusting an interest rate to a small handful of banks, no more than a couple dozen, how does that free money into society? Well, it's simple. If we lower the rate we'll pay on reserves, then they're not going to park their money here at the Fed. They're going to go out in the world and they're going to start lending, because that's where they're going to make some real money. So see how that money we're freeing up? First of all, that's logically flawed on a lot of ways. One, it's not freeing up money if the banks are lending it into existence. Okay? And if that was the transfer mechanism, if it worked that way, then at least there would be an argument by the Fed that if we do this, they'll do this. That's what the thinking is. But people in the bond market, money dealers and banks and financial institutions, they don't care what the Fed does. They're going to balance. They're going to do all of their balance sheet shenanigans and machinations and lending and borrowing, repledging and pledging and all that. They're going to do all of that regardless, And it has nothing to do with what the Fed does. And what ends up happening is the Fed, in order to not eat their shoe every time they get in front of a microphone, they just follow the bond market. And pretty much wherever the bond market goes, the Fed somehow finds a way to match their policy to where the yield curve is. Data dependent, right? So that's that. So their monetary tools don't actually use money in them. So one might ask, well, then what do they do? They just are a public face. They are someone that you feel good because at night, the Fed's got our back. They got us. Everything's fine. We'll be fine because the Fed, because Jerome Powell, that guy can't find his ass with both hands. He can't find his dentures, much less steer the economy. None of these guys can. They're all just, well, like they say, empty suits. They're just the emptiest suits in the room, man. They are just nothing going on. Anyway, okay, so that's our little thing there. So, but if they say we're ending QT, so they say, okay, 25 base point cut, we're ending QT, that would be a two banger. Bang, bang, 2 bullets. One bullet would be the 25 base point cut, which we all know is coming. The other one would be the ending QT. If they did both of those, then naturally one would be inclined to think, wait a minute. Seems like they're in a little bit of panic mode. And conversely, it's reasonable to assume that they will start to talk about QE again, or not QE. We're just going to buy the twos, or whatever. That's it. They'll start to talk about either not QE or QE, which is QE. The QEs, the Qs, they'll start talking about the Qs again. So that would be, and that could be in a December meeting. So then there's a lot that goes into everything after the 25 basis point cut. It's everything that Powell, and remember, these are all the inflationistas. These are all the people that are extremely embarrassed about how wrong they've been for the last 2 years. So stupid that they were dumb in 2024, and they were the exact same dumb in 2025. The same mistakes, the same stupidity with the same data. Like, you have to be a dumbass to do what they've done with the data that they've had, and you make the same mistake twice in a row. Like, what a bunch of jackasses. But anyway, same exact. If there was like a mix between a Nobel Prize and a Darwin Award, like maybe Jerome can get a Nobel Prize for being so dumb twice. The same amount, like for being historically stupid twice. Normally you only get one bite at that apple. But he got to do it twice. He got to be historically stupid twice. That's pretty impressive. So good job, Jerome Powell. You're a jackass. So we'll see. So the wording of that meeting after the fact, the presser, after the 25 basis point cut, that's what people are looking for. And then that's going to affect, there is a sheesh load of leverage in the market right now. A lot of long leverage. And so if people don't get what they hear, if they don't get what they want or expect or some kind of positive thing, you could see Bitcoin sell off pretty good. Probably, I mean, there's a lot of leverage. It's not the way it was 3 weeks ago when everybody got nuked, but it's a lot. It's a lot. So we'll see. I'm curious to see if we melt up into the meeting. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if you saw 116K Bitcoin tomorrow into the meeting. And then, depending on what is said and how it's digested, leverage is a problem. Now, this is the new problem that we always have to face now, is this extreme amounts of stupid leverage. And we're just stuck with it now, these jackasses. Anyway, Stupid leverage is the new motif. Hello. Dodgers in the 18th inning with a home run. Jesus, that's sounds like a long game. I don't. Was it in the 18th? Actual 18th or 8th? Did you mean 18? Won't this upcoming rate cut impact crypto as well? Oh, I think we just went through that. Okay. Regarding Hypercycle Korea deal, do you think it helps cement the value of Node Factory's ant fees because the Korea deal mathematically makes the ant fees worth about $5,000 each? No. How does the Korea deal make ant fees worth anything? How does anything make anything worth anything? You know what makes something worth something? Having a liquid secondary market, a liquid marketplace, secondary market, right? Because you can list anything for sale at any price. What people will trade it back and forth for, that's the real price at that moment. So will the Korea deal cement the value of Node Factories and Ampies? Absolutely not. It can't. It couldn't. Like, how would it? By what mechanism would it create a price? I know they keep talking about this, and I've brought this up over and over with the team. They're like, oh, it's going to be this much. Why? Oh, because that's what we're selling them for, and no one would ever sell something at a loss. Oh, right. There's no scenario ever in history where anyone has sold anything lower than the price they bought it. That is nonsense. And that is a bunch of well-intentioned people that are financially foolish. They all mean well. They do not at all in any way understand how markets work. Zero. There was this talk that I don't know. Anyway, no. There's no way that's possible. A secondary market, a liquid secondary market of buyers and sellers determines the price of a thing, and that's it. Now, will that deal create more potential liquidity in a secondary market? Maybe. But the nature of the deal is that Hypercycle is giving them $1 billion worth of node licenses and ant fees. Ant fees. They're giving them $1 billion worth of ant fees. So where's the money? Where's the money part? Where's the price part? Where's the part where we're guaranteed a number? Doesn't make any sense. It's not possible. Say, well, what about their investment? No one knows what their investment does. No one has given me a clear, and I'm talking about the people that are doing that are crafting this deal. Can't give me a straight answer on what the deal actually is. Like, what is the money used for? Oh, it's used as a backstop. Okay, for what? Well, for the nodes. For who? For all the Korean companies that are getting them. But aren't we giving them to them? Don't they get them for free? Yes. Then what are we backstopping? Well, in case they wanted to sell them. Okay, I guess I don't understand. We gave them to them. What are they selling? Well, it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. This deal doesn't make any sense. Now, if you say, forget about the money part of this deal and just say, is it a good idea to get $1 billion worth of nodes out there in the hands of a bunch of South Korean companies that might deploy them in a variety of ways? Yes, that's awesome. That's more like a marketing deal. That's just marketing. That's just propagating the nodes out there. Great. That's awesome. It's going to be good for Hypercycle. Probably gets, at some point, probably reflects on the token even a little bit. But there's no, I don't know that there's any direct anything to price. And it certainly doesn't, I don't even know where they're getting that math. That math doesn't make any sense. None of it. All right. Category 5 hurricane named Hurricane Melissa is wreaking havoc on Jamaica. Oh, yeah, Hurricane Melissa. Be careful of that Melissa. Will that BTC leverage make Ethereum fall too? Well, unfortunately, 11, anytime Bitcoin gets beat up, Ethereum gets beat up with it. It is what it is. Is that because some people wrap Ethereum and borrow? They wrap Bitcoin and that's an Ethereum asset, and then or a layer 2 asset, and then they go and do things with that in other markets. I don't know. I don't understand why. I don't understand why Bitcoin leverage unwinding just destroys everyone else, but it just does all the way across the books. It just destroys everyone else. So, still, Bitcoin is the ocean. Every other asset is a boat or a ship on that ocean. There are a few ships, mostly boats, mostly just little boats. And as that ocean goes up, the other assets tend to go with it. Sometimes it's a little bit of lag time, and as the ocean goes down, they all go down, and they all go down fast. So there is that. All right. You made 13 cents. Oh, hell yeah. Let's see. You mentioned a 5 weeks of up market in crypto yesterday. Would you believe this? Why do you believe this consecutive rate cuts? Because of all the things we just talked about yesterday, and we went through the whole thing. I'm not going back through all that. Come on, man. That was the whole point of the discussion yesterday. 18th inning. Holy crap. Can you imagine playing 18 innings? I guess if you're in the World Series, that's the coolest thing. Boy, you hate to lose an 18 inning game, though, don't you? Ugh. That's like losing 2 games. The 9, and then it's like playing one for free and then losing the other one. Dick. Let's see. Is leverage in crypto a one-sided trade, or is there someone taking the opposite side of that trade gamble, like in options? Well, yeah, the platform is taking the other side of it. So when you take on extreme leverage, remember, you're doing it with a tiny amount. A relatively tiny amount. So if you take 40x leverage, you're putting up X amount and you're getting 40 times the leverage on that asset. 40 times the X's, right? But then you have a much narrower window of movement in the price of the underlying asset before you get completely liquidated, right? So think about it. If you had 100x leverage at less than a 1% move, less than 1%, you're evaporated. You're gone. So at a 50x leverage, a little bit less than 2%, you're gone. At a 40x leverage, 2.13, 2.15%, gone. So you don't have a lot of cushion. And so you get summarily liquidated. Now, the way that liquidation works, that depends on the platform. There's different platforms. They're mostly the same, but there may be slightly different ways. I know that in borrowing scenarios where when you're borrowing, and that's only usually a 8, you're borrowing 50% loan to value. But in some loan to value scenario, you have market makers and liquidity providers that will go in and they will eat these positions that need to be not margin, but that are in deep margin and that need to be liquidated, and they will go forcibly liquidate and take the arbitrage on that, right? They'll liquidate your stuff and buy it super cheap on that and then do all that. The exact mechanism on hyperliquid, it's a technical mechanism. So I think it's got to be other investors' money on the other side of it. Because remember, hyperliquid's they're not trying to gamble. Market makers would sit in the middle of a lot of those deals like bookies. So you're investing on the other side. But because people that take extreme leverage mostly lose, because these markets gyrate so quickly that there's just no way to keep up. Who knows? Maybe the exchange has their own kind of proprietary market makers entrenched, but usually these DEX platforms, they don't have, I mean, they're generating a lot of cash, but they don't have a lot of cash of their own cash is not on the line in these trades. They're not gambling against the clients. They are maintaining liquidity pools and things like that, but they're not on the other side of the trade. So it pretty much is a one-sided trade. And then the rest of it is kind of technical, with some deep-pocketed market makers on the other side of it. Let's see. Hypercycle just launched a 1.1 billion. Okay, here we go. A 1.1 billion joint venture in South Korea, backed by Adeep Inc. plus Korean investors using 170,000 node factories valued at 850 million as in-kind capital. Okay, let's walk through this because I don't want to have anybody think I'm making fun of them, and I don't want you to think that I'm making fun of you. And yes. There's also a funding rate adjustment. That's a big part of it. Yeah, thanks, Bitcoin. So the funding rate gets higher and higher and higher as more people go onto the long side of a trade. So if you have a bunch of people going long with leverage, they have to pay a funding rate. Sometimes it's in real time. I know that Binance used to imply that funding rate every so many hours. I bet now it's almost real time. But you're paying a funding rate, 1 to 15 basis points every so often. And as that funding rate gets higher and higher and higher and higher, right? As the more people are on one side of the trade. Okay. They're basically funding money to be on the other side of that trade in a liquidation event. Anyway, okay, let's go back to this. But yes, good catch, Bitcoin. See, that's why I like Bitcoin. He will do his silly TA stuff, but every now and then he's Johnny on the spot, or should I say Bitcoin radio on the spot. All right. Okay. So let's dig through this. A joint venture. Cool. I'm Hypercycle. Everybody put on your Hypercycle hat. Okay. You take 170,000 node factories. Okay. You take those node factories and you give them to this joint venture. Here you go, joint venture. You have the node factories. Real quick, everyone. How much did those node factories cost you? Remember, you got your Hypercycle hat on. How much did those node factories cost you? Anyone? I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with zero. Those node factories cost you zero. Zero. Yes. Tom nails it. Zero. So say it with me. These things that you just gave them cost you nothing. So you value them as some random number. Okay, cool. You could say that they're a gazillion. How much are these? A gazillion. And no, Bitcoin, don't go back. Don't go buy the car back. I just gave you a compliment. Don't go buy the car back. Your TA is terrible. That's why you disappear for 3 days at a time. When your TA sucks, you disappear. And then the 1 day a week when it works, you come back. No, you were doing so good, man. You were doing so good. Okay, so we all agree that the node factories cost us zero. So our contribution to this deal, remember, we got our Hypercycle hats on. Our contribution is zero. Okay, please tell me if I've given you zero. It doesn't matter what you call our joint venture. Joint venture, JV. JV has 170,000 worthless things. Oh, well, there's no price on them. So these are worthless things. So where does the 5,000 per node factory come in? Is that because we as Hypercycle just said that's what they're worth? Well, let me ask you this. Let's put on the other part of the hat. You're a company. You are a company. Oh, don't claim to have a job. You know you don't have a job. You're rich. On one-on-one going to Malibu, I bet traffic is bad right now. Bad. Okay, so let's think about this. In this joint venture is a bunch of nothing. Nothing. There's no money behind it. It's nothing. Okay? Nothing. So how do you derive a value? If we've given all of these node factories to the venture, ANFIs, whatever you want to call them. They have it in the venture that they got for free, that we made for free. Where does the value for the node come from at that point? It would be two ways, and this is a derivative process. A, it's making money for me, therefore that times some multiplier gives me a number in my mind that I would be willing to sell it for. Okay? Two, it increases the intelligence of my system. I like to use the example of an MRI, right? You have an MRI, and if you have a node running inside of it, a hypercycle node, it makes that MRI, it makes the AI inside there 20% more effective at diagnosing injury, right? That's a pretty significant margin. In health, in medicine, that would be massive. So there's going to be a value because now my machine's worth more. Therefore, hey, these nodes are awesome. They make my $98,000 or my $170,000 MRI machine 20% more effective. Therefore, to me, I'm going to go put one in every one of my MRI centers, in every one of my MRI machines. Yeah. Okay, cool. So they're worth, they're worth something on the secondary market. But there's no value to these things yet. There's just no value until somebody's willing to pay on a secondary market for that thing that you have. So that's it. That's the deal. There's no kind of cheating your way around that. You can't. I told him this was all voodoo math. I'm like, this part of the deal, I think, is like, oh, there's a $200 million backstop. Okay. What does that backstop do? Oh, well, it's for the nodes. Cool. How does it work? Well, it backstops. Yeah, you said backstop. I've heard the word backstop. You've all said backstop, but none of you will tell me what a backstop is. Oh, well, it's to if someone wants to sell the nodes. Who? All those companies that got them for free? If the companies that got them for free want to sell them, you're going to buy them in the joint venture and somehow this makes money? No, it's a backstop. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. And if you let's just do the math. Let's say you took all the money that they had. Okay. Even if you divided all of the money in the backstop by the 170,000 nodes that we as our hypercycle are giving them, if they all sold them, oh, you can't see it, it's backwards. It's $1,176. So again, and let me tell you, if there's a panic to the door, that price is going to be way lower. But that's if the backstop money was used to compensate the people that got the node licenses for free. Wait, why would they be getting anything if they got it for free? Oh, well, it's so that they'll use it. But they get it for free. So I don't understand what are you backstopping? It doesn't make, you see where this stuff doesn't make sense exactly. And when you dig in and ask questions, there are no answers, which means that the people that are putting the deal together don't know either. And that's what was my original problem last week. Yep. So there you go. That's my frustrations on that. So yeah, that deal is cool as a marketing thing. It financially means zero. Now, if the money that the Korean government was investing could be used for other things, but see, I don't think it can. I'm at least it couldn't up to last week. I asked a lot of questions I didn't get any answers. I was like, what is this money for? And like, who gets to use it? What is the, who's controlling it? Like all this kind of stuff. I never got any answers. They just said, these are all really good questions. I'm like, yeah, I know, man, but like answer some of them. No answers. No answers. So, yeah. Okay. Deal. Craig, we're about to both be billionaires. Well, I'd say my cats are probably worth $1 billion. Some billionaire. They're just tearing stuff up right now. They're definitely worth a negative $1 billion, like on damage. Just on damages alone. Okay. Let's see. I've never heard anyone talking about the ANFI splitting nodes. Does the ANFI split? Like, yeah. The ANFI will spit out nodes. The ANFI is just a node factory on the base network with a bunch of other components infused into it. So think of the Ethereum node factories as being just kind of very basic and simple, and then the ANFIs as being enhanced with all these different little bits of software that would make them more valuable to somebody. Yeah, that. And yes, they unlock, split. They have mitosis. They have whatever you want to call it. Nodular mitosis. Let's see. Yeah, you gotta look at things. You just gotta break things down to the simple. Like you can first principle most things. Let's see. New hypercycle coda. You either believe in the long-term vision and are willing to wait for the ROI, or you exit once the nodes are available on node market. Very simple. Yes. And let me tell you, what would my price be? Well, what would your price be? Let's see. Let me ask you guys, what would you sell your nodes for right now? What is a number you would sell right now? All of it, 100% of your nodes. What would you sell them for right now, this second? All of it, the whole thing, all of it. What would be your price per node? Mine, let's see. What is the value of something the hypercycle? What is the value of something the hypercycle team is giving away? Is that like a rhetorical question, or what do you mean? Green, what do you mean exactly? Like, what is the value? Well, if you mean that like as an actual question, like what is the value of the ANFIs? I would say right now the value of the ANFIs is the price on a secondary market that someone's willing to buy one for. And I don't know what that value is. Let's see. I would sell 20% of mine for $1,500 each. Okay. Rhetorical. Yeah. I'm with you. I think we're saying the same thing. Yeah. 1,200 USD per node. Okay. Well, let's do some math. So you have 512 times what? I mean, I don't know, man. I might be in the 1,000 each camp. If someone right now, this second, this moment, was going to give me $1,000 per node, I'm about. And then I will root from the sidelines, and Brandon and I will make sure you have an amazing marketplace to sell these things. $5,000 for 4 licenses, so 1,250 each. Is that what you're saying, or do you mean $5,000 times 4? So do you mean 5,000 a piece or 1,250 a piece? 1,200, I'm out. Okay, so we're starting to see a market. Well, no. We're starting to see the sell side. The buy side would only be formed in a scenario where there is some provable use case that that you could wrap your mind around a financial value to. And I don't think that you can do that yet. Do I still believe in hypercycle? Yeah. I mean, I believe there's all sorts of uses for hypercycle that have nothing to do with what they're doing right now. I think that TODA could be used to create a badass ledgerless blockchain to move stablecoins really, really fast. I believe you could use the nodes simply to move and do online payments really, really fast. Like, forget all this, AI to AI stuff and all this kind of very complicated bullshit. What if we just were the best stablecoin network on the planet, right? Where money moves real fast and real lean and real safe. I mean, it seems like there's a market for stablecoin issuance and movement and things like that. Seems like there's a huge marketplace for that. So I think that could be valuable. So I think there's all sorts of, and this is the other thing too, hypercycle is getting away from the crypto stuff. This could be a whole separate thing. So there's a lot of tech value, a lot of IP value. I don't know that this path is going to bear fruit. But think about all this. Think about your nodes as eventually being nodes that were spread out around the world, just processing real-time payments. How awesome would that be? And any currency could ride on its back. Remember the little C hypercycle, the little container that moves money one way and information back and this and that. That could move. It's not just one currency. There's a whole multitude of currencies that could be moving back and forth. So you can move any other distributed asset back and forth. I think that's probably where a lot of value is. Is there a chance that hypercycle technology will become obsolete? Well, there's always a chance that technology could become obsolete. So yes, is there a chance? Yes. There's always a chance, right? Who's using the BlackBerries now? No one. So yes, there's always a chance. Is it likely in the near term? No. I think a greater question would be, is there a chance that people just don't ever understand hypercycle technology and so it never gets mass adoption? Yes, because they're not making a compelling argument to people over what the hell this is. Like, does anybody here actually know what it would take to launch a node if you had a machine at home, an AI machine? My microwave I have an AI microwave, and my washer and dryer are both AI. They're the Samsung AI ones. AI. Every time I do laundry, it's a little bit different. It's learning. So could I put a node? How could I put a node? How could I put a hypercycle node in my washer and my dryer to make the AI smarter? How? What the F would I even do? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. I really don't think anyone other than Dan and maybe Toofy and Robert actually know how to deploy these things. I don't think anyone in the community knows how to deploy them. There could be all sorts of use cases for nodes right now. I don't even know how to get it done. I could have someone come to me and say, listen, I'll give you $1 million if you can get your node into my AI refrigerator. I'll be like, cool. Shit. I want to help you right now, sir. I really want to help you. I got 1 million reasons to want to help you. But I don't exactly know how that would happen. But I'll get you on the phone with one of the 4 people on Earth that may know how to do this. Not for sure, but might, maybe, no. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, not yours. Oh, my AI doesn't count. Right. Not washers and dryers and refrigerator AI, the other AI. Well, goddamn it. So I don't even know how to do any of this stuff. I don't think anybody else does either. So I think that's the problem. There should be some educational phase where we teach people how to use this stuff. like how to deploy them. I would have probably deployed nodes doing all sorts of random shit already if I knew how to do it. I don't have a fucking clue. I don't have a clue. So I'm always careful in conversations not to steer too close to someone that might actually want to use them. Because then if they wanted to use them, there's nothing I can do for them. Because no one knows. Just get it. Okay, cool. Then what? Put it in there. How? Make it work. How do I make it work? Technology. What? Yes. What kind of technology? Mechanisms. Okay. Like, it's just too much word circling, word soup. Like, and that's just been my constant frustration. So, is there a chance it will become obsolete? No. There's a chance no one will ever know how to use it. You have to spit out hypercycle HYPC hypercycle pretzel and then sell them at stadium. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. There's just all sorts of things that I would love to do that I can't because I don't think anybody understands how to do any of this stuff. Yeah, I think payment processing would be awesome. And I talked to Tufi about this 2 years ago. I was like, are you sure? We don't want to run a separate company kind of quietly on the side and, just do everything that Ripple was trying to do, but actually just do it technologically instead of with a bunch of scumbag, thievy, crooky pieces of shit like Ripple. Like I just drop the software out there and collect our tiny, tiny little piece and let the whole world use it like immediately. And then they're always like, no, the bigger thing is AI and all that. I'm like, okay. I mean, I think the bigger thing is payments. I mean, I think AI will need payments. Robots will need payments. Everybody needs payments. I think payments are the bigger thing than AI because AI will need payments. Therefore, payments have to be at least as big as AI or bigger because they're laid on top of it. So I think that'd be good. Anyway, very frustrating. So let's see. Getting a compelling value statement out of the tech head engineers, software devs was my challenge for actually. Where's the business? Yeah, I know, man. God. That's where that thing was like, make nodes, make money. I didn't mean make as in they got it wrong too. This is how down the tunnel they are. I was like, I put it in the group with the two finals guys. It's like make nodes, make money. It was a command, not a parable. Like if we all make more nodes, then we'll make more money. No. That's not what it meant. I meant make the nodes make people money. You guys, you nerds, brainiacs, find a way so that these nodes make us money. Make the nodes make money. And they're like, yeah, I like that. Make nodes make money. If you make nodes, you make money. No, you guys missed it because you guys don't like indirect object pronouns of any kind. Make the nodes make people money, man. Yeah, but these things take time. Anyway, let's call it a day. It's going to be exciting for tomorrow. We'll let you know if we're going to flip-flop the option session from Thursday to Wednesday. We'll put it in the chats. I'll talk to Brandon about it. Yeah, I'll talk to Brandon about it. Maybe it might make sense. To do options tomorrow, even though we typically roll on Thursdays. If it's a nothing burger, yeah. Well, we'll see. Okay. All right. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything my poor and solvent drunk story MS grandmother or Brandon wouldn't do. And, we don't know where he is, what he's doing, but we know that it's probably cold. It's going to be 90 degrees here, probably a little bit hotter because I'm up on the hill a little bit. So I'm gonna guess we're at 91 to 92 degrees today. Yeesh. Looks like this 3/4 length shirt's coming off for a tank top. And on that note, I'm about.